disabilities, in particular neurodiversity, within leadership, and then we can take a short break if anyone wants one in the meantime. But Daniel and McLean, I'm sorry for cutting you off really quickly, but really appreciate what you have to say, and it's been so interesting. And Daniel, I will be hitting you up, my local Fingal County Councillor, because Blanchardstown in particular, it's huge Dublin. If anyone's familiar with it, it's very hard to get to. We're not doing this anymore, so we're going to make sure that whatever we can do, and I've another year in union, so hopefully I'll be able to make some change too. Tell you guys, thanks a million. And up next, as I mentioned, Crow Mullin is an education officer and an absolute powerhouse with neurodiversity from IADT down in Dunleary, Student Union. And Jeanette Delahunty is a neurodiversity expert, advocate, consultant, trainer. She's all encompassing, and she's a pleasure to work with, and I can't wait for you to hear what the guys have to say. So Crow, if you wanted to lead the conversation, you're welcome to. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. Go for it.
Hi guys. Yeah, so I'm Crow. I'm the education officer in IDT. When Louise asked me to do this, I was very like, oh wow, because it was such an honor. It was very sweet. Because I'm really proud of kind of the fact that I've gotten to the point that I'm in with the amount of neurodiversity I have. Like, it's just like I think it's a common joke whenever I go to like SU events, because I turn around and I'm like, yeah, so the alphabet soup that is my brain is like is working away. And like, Jeanette, you probably have heard like that sort of thing before, like people just being like, here's all the letters that are in my head.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, Crow.
Listen, it's definitely interesting.
Definitely interesting, yeah. I heard recently somebody calling themselves neurospicy. I just thought that was fantastic.
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Because it also like it takes away the kind of, so something I have learned from being in this position, but also like I've been neurodiversity advocate for many years. I didn't know I was neurodiverse until I was like 14, and I was doing my junior cert, and they were like, hey, by the way, like I should also probably say for people that are here, I am diagnosed with ASD, so I'm on the autistic spectrum disorder. I'm on that spectrum. I also have ADHD, ODD, and many other like things that come with that. So, and I didn't know that I had these things until I was like literally sitting in my, like, I went to a doctor, got like official diagnosis, and then I had to sit my history and my English like mock exam for my junior cert, and I'm just sitting there going, what is this? Like, why? And like ever since, I've been such an advocate for people with neurodivergencies, and like, you know, people with neurodivergencies coming into like leadership roles and like that sort of thing, because it's so important to have that sort of, not only that diversity, but also the point of view of like, you can sit in a big kind of conference hall, right, and people cannot have any neurodivergencies, and there could be that one person in the room who's like, I can hear the buzzing of the lights, I can hear someone tapping at the table, and like, or oh, they're like, the tone of this person, I can't figure it out, or oh, I cannot concentrate for the life of me on this thing. And that's like I know these are kind of the stereotypical things, but like even just having one person like that at a table and having someone advocate for them, or having someone be like, hey, we need to be able to cater for people with different needs, is so important.
Yeah. I think it's really valuable as well that, you know, we're showing people that you can be a leader and have a neurodivergent or neurodivergent conditions or condition, that yes, you absolutely 100% can be a leader. And to have a student, you know, that's gone through the junior cert and gone through university and be able to say, look, it doesn't have to be like a death sentence. And I think that's what has previously been thought, is that, oh my God, my son is autistic, he's never going to be able to do anything. Well, my son is a manager of a cafe, and he's autistic, and he has sensory processing, and he has obsessive compulsive disorder, and he has social anxiety disorder, but he's a manager of a cafe. you know. So and it
Yeah,
shows
like
in leadership that you can have that leadership, and it's great to have that representation. So as you said there, Crow, when somebody is in the room and they are afraid to speak out, that they hear somebody else saying, you know, this is me and I am an alphabet soup.
yeah. Like
You know.
that's the thing. Like when I got diagnosed, like my parents were kind of there for that. And they like the whole thing for them was like, oh, if you get through your leaving cert, then it doesn't matter. Like you've achieved something. And I'm like, that's very fair. Like the leaving cert was really difficult for me, and I did finish it. But I know even with my disabilities that I can still do so much more. You know, like even this year, for example, like I did my first 2 years of college. My first year was during COVID, so that was not great. But like I did my first year, and then I did my second year in a different course, and I was like, I feel like I can do more with this. I feel like I can do something else, and I went for my position, my current position, and I kind of just like I realized just how important it is to have that other voice at the table. Because it isn't a thing of like be like that, like it was so ingrained into me, like, oh, you're autistic, okay, you will not accomplish anything, you will be like struck down for this. It's nuts. It was
No.
awful, and it hit your self-esteem, and it made like it also was a thing, it gave people the excuse to treat you like a kid, because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're autistic, oh, okay, so I have to dumb this down for you. It's like autism does not equal not intelligent.
Yeah.
Autism equals different needs. That was my whole thing. I
Absolutely.
was like, I'm not
Yeah.
dumb. I'm not like I'm not like not intelligent. I just have other struggles.
But that's it, and the fact of your strengths and your talents are going to outweigh those struggles, you know, and to be able to focus that and harness that really is such a magnificent thing. And there's so many people I know who have such super talents. Louise is
Oh
one.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, absolutely so talented in so many areas. And my kids, we have 11 children between us, and half of our family is neurodivergent in some way, shape, or form. Some with alphabet soup type, and some that just have maybe one or two. There's never such thing as just one thing. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's always something else that goes with it. My eldest is ADHD, and he struggles massively with anxiety and depression, and he goes from job to job because he says people don't understand him. He can't get on with people. But his talents are just far-reaching. He's just a super empathetic, lovely man, and just to have you even here being able to speak to all of these people that are listening in today and that can listen back on the recording is so powerful. It's so powerful. It means so much to so many people who are afraid to talk. You know, they're afraid to come up.
I mean,
Like
that
one of my
was
kids would never do that.
yeah, that was me, you know, when I like, and as much as kind of like I think me and Louise had this conversation when we first met, but I had mentioned that I was really not an out, I was really a quiet kid, and I was very like afraid of, you know, being up and talking about these things. And you know, like it's so unfortunate because Ireland has such a shame culture around being different, and it's so like, oh, you can't talk about your differences, you can't, like, oh, this is a hush, like I was told not to tell anybody that I was diagnosed because it was like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, that's a huge part of who I am. Like a huge part of the way that I express myself and the way that I exist in spaces is the fact that I'm neurodivergent. Like, for example, we were just at Kogal with USI, and one of the things that I had asked it, in light of everyone being like of a huge percentage being neurodivergent, was that, oh, can people snap their fingers instead of really like clapping and smacking the table when something is really good? Because then you, like, if you're having that sort of experience, you know, you're going to alienate so many people because they're exhausted from having to be like, okay, like I have to process all this noise, I have to process this sort of thing. And I was pushing for it so much, and like it's been something I've been really intense about this year, is having people have their accessibility needs met. Like it's such a thing of like, trying to get accessibility here, and like it's one of the kind of the barriers that I kind of faced, especially coming into this job, because this job, like being an SU member, is so different to any other job. Like you can't put an explanation on an SU. It's nuts. But I was very much like, okay, I need a comfortable chair because I'm chronically ill as well. So I'm like, I can't be sitting in like a kind of a blue spinny chair for hours, or else I won't be able to function. Noise canceling headphones so I can concentrate, like fidget toys, sufficient breaks. And this is something that we all fight for, like for our students as well, because like sometimes you will have people that are like, well, can't you just ignore like ignore your ADHD? And I'm like, if I could, I would. That would be fabulous.
We'll just take that part of my brain out right now, will we? And we'll pop it over here for a moment.
Hang on, let me go to the switchboard that is my brain and like find the ADHD switch and turn it off. Like it's not.
I don't understand some people's thought processes. I'm just like, what?
Like it's
sorry,
it's mad.
That's crazy.
Like,
somebody would say, just ignore that. Yeah, that's okay.
You can deal with it. Like that was like, and it's something that now as an adult that I'm able, like I'm very lucky because I'm able to advocate for myself, and because I've learned like how I should, like how to direct those conversations. Whereas like when I was younger, it was mostly my parents being like, oh, you don't like the texture of this, just put it on, it looks nice. Or, oh, it's too loud, just like deal with it, put your fingers in your ears. And I'm like, that makes me look strange, that makes me feel uncomfortable. So now as an adult, when I get people saying that, like someone will be like, you've repeated the same outfit like for 5 days straight, and I'm like, one, it's washed, and two, it's comfortable, and I'm not going to make myself uncomfortable for your satisfaction. My comfort and my ability to function as a person is far more important than someone else's outlook on me.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And that's something to push in this. Like I went like, yes, Louise, go for it.
Just giving you your little warning. This has been amazing, Jeanette. I feel like I'm back at work with you right now, and everything Crow was saying, I'm going, yes, I know. It's like, for those who don't know me, I was an SNA for 5 minutes, so I think I know everything. But I worked with Jeanette, so it was great it's great actually to hear these things, Crow. And thank you so much for sharing. I think anyone that's here today will agree that like your stories are just out there, and anyone who was in Codal, which is our version like of an RDET or a meeting of all the student unions, Crow had to sit in a room with over nearly 300 people, and this is what like they made us all so proud, because it's not easy to get 300 people to click their fingers instead of clapping or shouting and hollering. So anyway,
it's
sorry.
Fantastic.
As these were.
We did that.
It's the joke of I am just really scary, so people just do what I say.
But it's so powerful. I mean, I was over at a conference recently in the UK, and the conference, there was over 400 delegates at the conference, and the same thing is they went in and they said, look, people started clapping, and they said, no, if you want to show your appreciation, we had to all do this.
Yeah. Or like sign language clapping.
Yeah, so we were clapping, and it was just fantastic. So there was the ADHDers and the I need this, blah, and the autistics then on the other side were just like, I need it, blah. So it was an equal kind of compromise that we would all just wave, and it's so powerful, and it's simple things that we can do and we can put in place that don't cost anything. It's just a simple change, a simple change in mindset. Try getting people to change their mindset is another story, but you're doing fantastic, Crow, and it's very powerful.
That's the other thing of like, that simple change, like even the people who don't have neurodivergencies were like, oh, this is really nice because I'm not going into like a huge hall of people with a headache every day. Like that's the thing of like having like equity for, like involved with people, like, oh, you need these extra like needs and stuff. Oh, that's great. If that's provided to everyone, you'd see such a difference in like how people can function, because it's like, oh, I have that extra support anyway. Oh, cool. That's how that works. It's not like one group of people are getting, like special treatment. It's, oh, they need these like need these extra supports so that they can function to the same level as everyone else in the room.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we'd advocate for, is that we have everything that everybody needs at the end of the day, because what benefits neurodivergent benefits neurotypical, and it's a win-win situation, and there's no finger pointing of, oh, that person is alphabet soup and we need to do something really special here. Is that it's everybody is welcome, and everybody can have something something valuable that's going to help them get through the day, you know.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, like, because I have written down like little things that I like, and I have a positive experience to share, because I am like kind of talking about how tough it was for me as a kid. But there was something that, so earlier this year we were all a lot of unions were involved in a walkout in regards to the cost of living crisis, and so where we are, we weren't able to get into town, so we just had our walkout like on campus. And one of the, like, I had never really been like super involved in big protests, because like I'm chronically ill, so walking everywhere is a nightmare, and then it's like it's very loud, and like it's just a lot of sensory like issues, right? But because I had pushed myself to, like, I had like these coping mechanisms of, okay, if I go and do this protest, I know what I need to do after to like console with myself and check in, and, you know, like make sure that I'm okay to continue going on for the day, rather than like what I would have done at 13, which was just shut down. And I was able to like lead a protest like on a megaphone, walking around like screaming, shouting about how this is unfair to students and it's unfair to everyone involved, and, you know, like all this sort of thing. And now apparently a lot of first years in IADT just know me as the person who shouted and dropped a guillotine on a pumpkin, because that happened, and that's what I'm known for. Apparently. And like it's something that I was like, hey, I did that, and my neurodiversities were there, like, because I was able to get up and just like work with what my interests were, and I was able to kind of like make it so I was like able to do these like big events. And I was like, oh wow, like my neurodiversities didn't make that a bad thing. Like I was able to go like, hey, my like ADHD makes me very outgoing, at least now as an adult. So I was able to get up and get the entire crowd of people on a walkout, you know, and like you have those experiences where you feel like, hey, this is a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where we can play to our strengths. You know, I mean, once you know what your strengths are, you know what your talents are, nothing is going to stand in your way. Absolutely nothing will stand in your way, do you know? And yes, there's challenges, but as long as the right supports are there in place, and we know how to support ourselves and what we need to do for ourselves. And I think that that's how, you know, we can really achieve everything that we need to achieve. Are we up for time, Louise?
We are, boss. Sorry. Thank you so
You still got
much.
me, boss.
I know. I'm only slagging. So if anyone has any questions, I've just been made aware that the meet and chat for some reason isn't working for everybody. Please use the Q&A function. But if you have any questions at all, and I'll say for every single speaker that comes on, Jeanette, Crow, we've all the information is available, like where you would have registered to log in. Please reach out at any point. Like, I mean, the guys are amazing in what they do, and they're so open. But if there's no questions right now, then I think we can kind of finish up on this. And I promised there would be a break, so we're going to have a break now for 5 minutes, if that's okay. And then the next speakers on will be Louise Bayliss. She is another great inspiration to me. She works for Focus Ireland. She's a founding member of Spark, which is single parents. Again, no, do you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm going to get Louise to say it, because all I remember is Spark. And we've got Clodagh Gallagher. She's one of TUD counselling. And again, Clodag's got a huge background behind her. So I'm going to have a 5-minute break. Thank you so much, everyone, so far for being here and contributing and making this event.
Thank you for inviting.
No, not at all, Pro. I knew it was going. I knew you'd have stories and insights to share with people like yourself. And you're a huge inspiration. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. And thank you so much. I'll see you shortly.